was watched worldwide. It was, after all, the only U.S. presidential debate this season exclusively on foreign policy. And the candidates tackled a wide range of issues. So we're seeking a reaction from viewers in different parts of the world. Marios Efthymiopoulos is a political strategist from Greece. Chinese writer Wang Feng is in our Beijing bureau. And Pakistani blogger Raza Rumi is in Islamabad. Thank you all for joining us. Dr. Wang Feng, maybe I could start with you with a question I'd like to put to all three of you. What was your impression of the candidates? Did they seem very different when it came to the policies that you were listening closely to?
What we expect right now from the two candidates are to come out with specific proposals. Those specific proposals we didn't see, especially for Southeastern Europe and the Mediterranean. We saw a balanced relationship. We saw the willingness for coalition allies in order to resolve issues such as the Syrian case. We saw a lot of attention towards the Lebanese spillover, and we're also looking at the future of the U.S.-Turkish relations. What we're not seeing, however, is in specific what do we intend to do with the U.S. foreign policy engagement in the Middle East per se.
Okay, I'm going to go back to Wang Feng in Beijing because I think you were trying to offer your thoughts as well.
Hi, Jonathan, can you hear me?
I can't totally. So let me ask you, did either of the two candidates make a big impression on you? Was there a big difference to your mind between them?
Well, yes and no. I think for both candidates, they made it very clear that they want to treat China as a partner, and they want China to play by the rules and to have good trade relations with China, and that is clearly the top priority, the message they want to convey to the voters and then to audiences around the world. But there is a important distinction, which is that Governor Romney insisted his earlier decision, his claim that on day one, as President Romney will designate China as a currency manipulator, and he gave out the reasons that he feels that China may not go to war with the United States, a trade war. And basically the argument is that China has a lot more to export to the United States than the other way around. But that is a very simple calculation in my view, because the decisions to be made in Beijing here will not only be based on the trade volumes, but also on domestic political concerns.
Let me jump in on that thought. Forgive me, Doctor, for interrupting. So you're saying Mitt Romney was a bit simplistic. Let's go to Islamabad. Raza Rumi, what did you think? Did the candidates distinguish themselves from each other? Was there a big difference between them?
Well, I think when it comes to Pakistan, perhaps there's not much of a difference, because if in the debate, both the candidates made reference to drone strikes and said that they would continue, and they did not seek Pakistan's permission because Pakistan would have not granted that. And I think that was a bit worrying, considering that the Pakistani public opinion is really swelling against the drone strikes. And Pakistanis have this expectation from the US as being its ally, and the fact that Pakistan is cited in the war on terror for the decade or so, losing its people, its army men, its policemen. So I think there was not much enough said. And also, personally, I think I was a little disappointed because there was no medium to long-term mention of either Afghanistan or Pakistan. So I can understand that at the moment, both the American public wants the government to exit from Afghanistan, but surely there ought to be a strategy for that, because we have once suffered in 1990s with that void when Afghanistan was left. The other striking feature in the debate was that Mitt Romney mentioned more of Pakistan's military and especially its intelligence outfit, the ISI. And Obama, of course, was more cautious on that front. So Obama's policy has been to engage with the civilian government as far as possible. And a lot of Pakistanis have seen that change, and they welcome that, because historically The U.S. has only engaged with the Pakistan
Well,
military.
I want to ask you about that, but we're going to pass over because we've also got contact with Benghazi, Libya now, where Rowena Ashur has been watching the debate. What were your thoughts about the candidates?
Hi, I just watched the debates over the night, and I think, yes, we want more 4 years for Obama. I don't think Romney's hope and wasn't, the thing that we are needing. We don't need more foreign intervention. I think the idea from what happened at peace in Benghazi was something, terrorism has no relation to Islam or anything that I didn't like from Israel. I didn't like the idea of connecting terrorism and those attacks. Those who know Benghazi have seen what was happening there since the beginning of 2011. Benghazi was safe for any foreigners, and these accidents happened before. And for sure, these acts don't belong to the people of Benghazi or don't represent them. And I didn't like even the idea of choosing, the sentence that was simply said that the Muslim Brotherhood was, put as in Egypt as the presidential, liaison. But I didn't like the idea of that because those were chosen, those were voted, and people have did elections just to reach this result. Anyway, if you like...
Sure, I'm going to break away from Benghazi because I'm trying to give everyone a chance to be heard here on a number of issues that we heard about. Let's go back to Thessaloniki in Greece, where Marios Efthymiopoulos is joining us. One of the things I was struck by was Mitt Romney vowing that he would never let the United States be turned into another Greece. He used Greece as an example of everything to be avoided in good government. How are Greeks going to feel about that?
To be honest, I don't know. I got a bit disappointed when I heard that, to be honest. But in reality, in terms of business, Greece's financial status is not on a well-being at this moment. So I presume that he took it on a political meaning. But in reality, if you want votes from the Greek American community as well, as support from the Greeks in Greece, I presume that he needs to change a bit.
Be a bit more careful with his language. I wonder if we can go to Beijing now, where Dr. Wang Feng is still with us. And also strong words from Mitt Romney towards China. You alluded to it earlier. But both candidates seem to be treating China not as a rising power, not as a great civilization, but as a nation of trade cheats and intellectual piracy pirates. How do the Chinese feel about that kind of language?
Well, I think the time of treating China as a panda, as a great civilization, has passed to move on to really the relationship between the first economy, the second largest economy. And the issues raised with currency, with intellectual property, with counterfeiting, these are not new issues. And on the ground here in Beijing, we can see as China's economy has really boomed in the last decade, and as standard of living has increased, people start to use copyrighted materials, and people started to pay more and more respect to intellectual property. But that's not has not happened only because of the rising economy and the U.S. insistence and the calls from international organizations to respect these rules have certainly played a role. So those things will dominate the future agenda because of change here in China.
Dr. Wang Feng in Beijing, Raza Rumi in Islamabad, Marios Efthymiopoulos in Thessaloniki, and Rowena Ashur in Benghazi. Thanks so much for talking.